Hey guys, it's Critical Fish, and today I am proudly showcasing my entire Final Fantasy VII collection. On that day, 5 years ago, I played Final Fantasy VII for the first time ever. It quickly became the most important and influential game I've ever played. And this collection that I've curated over time represents my love for it. What you're about to witness is a deep dive into every single item in the collection, including my most prized possession. And even though I love my collection,
well, you know what they say, can't take it with you.
so let's kick things off with my Final Fantasy VII bin that stores the majority of my collection. I keep the bin well organized with the physical games that I collect, the books and magazines, the statues, as well as event collectibles that I've grabbed. And we are starting off strong with Final Fantasy VII Remake for the PlayStation 4. This is my most cherished gaming experience of all time. I tend to think back when this game actually released, and it's right when I started college. It's a little after I visited PAX East for the first time to see this game with my friends, and it was right after the first wave of lockdowns. I think the combination of all three made it a very memorable experience. Then I've also got the upgraded version called Remake Intergrade. This came out exclusively on the PlayStation 5 shortly after launch, and I had to own the physical edition because it just looks so damn clean. I was very excited to play the DLC content for this because I needed more exposure to the world of Remake. 4 years later, we were blessed with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which came out exclusively on the PlayStation 5. This was my most anticipated game following Remake, and I loved almost every single minute that I played in this over 100-hour-long journey. This game has so much content that I'm still trying to get the Platinum Trophy leading up to the release of Part 3. And this is where it all started back on the PlayStation 1. I was not even born when this game came out, but to go back and play this in modern times was really strange, but the most impactful gaming experience I've ever had. Here we've got a full look at the deluxe edition for Final Fantasy VII Remake. Now, this at launch was only $20 more than the base game, so I had to buy this. I felt like it was a really good price point for what you get inside the box. The first item in the bundle is a Steelbook of Sephiroth standing in front of Midgar, and it looks great. It's one of the cleanest Steelbooks I have in my collection. Next up is a mini soundtrack for Final Fantasy VII Remake. I don't know how practical this is, but it's still a cool addition. This isn't actually included in the deluxe edition, but it was a pre-order bonus from GameStop. It is a replica of a Shinra employee ID card, and I just love the details on it. And finally, in the deluxe edition, you get an artwork book, which features a lot of concept art, final images from the game, and overall just gives you more insight into how they developed the tone and world and atmosphere for Remake. I love the deluxe edition. And because I think this is one of the best deluxe editions in gaming, I bought a couple of them just to keep sealed and packed away in the collection. Here is a limited edition steelbook for Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade, which you could only get if you pre-ordered Intergrade at participating GameStop locations. This is really rare now. Moving on to Rebirth's Deluxe Edition, they paid homage to the first Deluxe Edition and made it look very similar with the packaging. I love that. The contents inside aren't as good as the remake bundle, but let's check them all out. First up is a Final Fantasy VII Rebirth soundtrack. This is still sealed and has a couple great songs on the disc. Next up is a small art book for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and it actually contains a lot of spoilers inside of it, so I avoided looking at this until I beat the game. There's a lot of levels that are showcased that I did not want to spoil for myself. The Steelbook that's included showcases Zack and Cloud marching towards Midgar in this new timeline that the game teases throughout the playthrough. I think it's a pretty cool Steelbook and a great moment in the game. And another pre-order bonus that I wanted to throw in here was the Rebirth hat that I got from GameStop at launch. Yeah, I'm not wearing this all the time, but it's cool. Just like with Remake, I managed to buy a few extra copies of the Deluxe Edition. I still think that they are great and their value's held up over time too. I also wanted to show this Steelbook that was a pre-order bonus for Rebirth at Best Buy locations around the United States. And this time it showcases Tifa and Aerith instead of Zack and Cloud. I've also got sealed copies of each of the games in the series so far. For Remake on PS4, the sealed copy has the exclusivity sticker on the front, which is pretty fun to see. I got 2 of these for $10 each. I grabbed a sealed copy of Intergrade, and I even grabbed a Japanese copy of Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade. It's got a lot of different details and completely different artwork from the American copy. I loved that I've got this in the collection. I've got a few more Japanese variants of different items in the collection, including my most prized possession that I'll show at the end of the video. And lastly, for physical games, I've got 2 sealed copies of the Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core Reunion Steelbooks. These were exclusive bonuses if you pre-ordered the game at Best Buy locations across the United States, and I managed to get 2. Music is one of the most important aspects of Final Fantasy VII to me, and I'm glad I can represent that with this physical copy of Rebirth's CD soundtrack. This was a great gift from one of my best friends. In addition to the physical soundtracks, I'm usually listening to the digital versions through Spotify. Whether that's the original soundtrack or the remake soundtrack, I am listening to this stuff everywhere, in the car, at work, in the gym, just everywhere, honestly. I love the soundtrack of Final Fantasy VII, and because there's so much variety to the soundtrack, it's got me covered for almost every occasion you can think of. I've got a few different books and magazines in the collection, including the first one here, a limited edition Game Informer that came out during the release month of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. The cover recreates the Nibelheim incident flames with Sephiroth and Cloud involved, and I just love the look of this. I got a bunch of them at a really cheap price. The next one is another Game Informer magazine that celebrates 25 years of PlayStation gaming, and at the top you can see Cloud and Tifa represented right in the middle, right above God of War, which I think is pretty great. I had to throw this in here. Next one up is a personal journal from the Shinra Electric Power Company, and I think the logo on the front really pops and has a great texture and look to it. I haven't personally written in this journal yet, but I think it's a great add to the collection. The Final Fantasy VII Ultimania released following the release of the remake on PlayStation 4, and I've read through parts of this, and it's a really interesting book that just adds to the lore of the world, as well as giving some cool developer insights. I'm not usually a fan of these, but this is an awesome book. The Final Fantasy VII Remake World Preview is a much more visual and illustrated version and showcase of the world of Remake. Gives a great look at the different character illustrations and the different areas within the game, so it doesn't differ too much from the Ultimania, but it does give you a more visual taste about how the developers came to making the game look as good as it does. One of my favorite sections of the collection are the different statues that I've acquired over time. Let's start strong with the amiibos that are produced by Nintendo for the Super Smash Bros. Line. Yeah, I still can't believe they're in Smash Bros, but Cloud and Sephiroth are represented in amiibo form. I've got the Advent Children variant, and I've also got the regular Cloud Strife costume variant. I love the fact that these exist, and when they initially came out, I didn't even know what Final Fantasy was, so I'm glad I can appreciate them now. Sephiroth also got his own amiibo when he released as DLC for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and I love that they gave him the one wing and the Masamune. These amiibos are just great to have. Next up is a greatly scaled Final Fantasy VII Sephiroth statue specifically for the remake version of the game. This released shortly after the remake game came out on PlayStation 4 and it looks awesome. I also bought the Cloud version of the statue and they pair very nicely together. You're about to see both of them unboxed and on full display. Really glad I got these before the prices shot up. Starting with the static version of Cloud, he looks great, he's standing on the pedestal, and you can even attach the Buster Sword to his back. I think all these little details on his character model look amazing, they look extremely accurate to the game, and for the price point that this released at, it is an awesome addition to the collection, and I had it up on my shelf for a while. I also have the static version of Sephiroth here. The sword is a lot longer than you think. You have to angle it against your shelf if you want him to stand straight forward, but other than that, every other detail on his character model looks very accurate. The hair is shiny, the details on his clothing are great, so awesome find. Both of them together pair up really well, and I hope at some point they make a Zack variant like these figures. Here is my final statue in the collection, which is the Cloud and Hardy Daytona Collector's Edition bike. At the time that I found this, I was rarely buying video game merchandise, but one day I walked into my local video game store and they got it the same day. So after seeing this in person for the first time and negotiating a really fair price, I managed to grab this and it is now one of my favorite pieces in the collection. I do think that out of the two collector's editions that are available for the remake series, this is the best one, and I'm really hoping for a big Sephiroth statue for part 3. I've attended PAX East twice now, and the first time I went, Final Fantasy VII was one of the stars of the show. I got this lanyard that showcases the Final Fantasy VII Remake characters, and it was all tied to the event that was going on where the demo was being played, the voice actors were talking about the game, and there was a Hardy Daytona in person. I also managed to get a few of these posters promoting the game's new release date of April 10th. They are double-sided posters, and I love both sides of the artwork, especially the one showcasing the horizon at the end of the game. I gave away a few of these to close friends. So that covers all the items that are stored within my Final Fantasy VII bin, and I'm very happy with the cool items and merchandise that I've found over time. There's still a few more very important items that don't fit in the bin. For a very brief period of time, I got really invested into the Final Fantasy cards in the Magic series. I opened 9 collector booster packs at a very fair price and managed to get a lot of great cards out of the packs. For the ones that I didn't like, that weren't visually appealing to me, I just sold off and made most of my money back. The cards that I did manage to keep hold most of the value that I paid for the packs that I bought. In addition to these Final Fantasy VII cards, I also kept some Final Fantasy XVI cards, but I'm not showing those off because this is a 7 video. For 20 bucks, the starter pack was kind of a no-brainer. It looks great, and it also has Cloud and Sephiroth on the front of the box as the best cards that you get in the set. I also got this Commander deck, which hosts a lot more foil cards and some better cards for actually playing the game. But because this had Cloud on the front of it and it's in black, you know I had to get it. I should probably open the sample packs inside. This bag was being given away at PAX East 2025 during the Final Fantasy and Magic the Gathering panel showcase. It's got a great picture of Sephiroth and Cloud on either side of the bag. I managed to get 2 of these after the event, and I'm really mad that I didn't get them while I was at the event. Both designs contrast each other really well though, and I'm glad that I managed to get these. Also given away during the event were Final Fantasy and Magic posters. These are really hard to come by and are actually very expensive now. I got a version of Cloud and Sephiroth. Both of them are hollow foil versions of the characters, and they are also original designs. As someone who doesn't even actually play Magic the Gathering, I can still really respect and love these poster designs. Next up is my replica Buster Sword that clearly wouldn't fit in the bin. In the story of Final Fantasy VII, the Buster Sword represents honor, legacy, and friendship. In addition to just thinking it looks cool, I'm glad that it has these strong, deep meanings to make it a very personal item in my collection. Here it is, my favorite item in my Final Fantasy VII collection with a really deep backstory too. This is the Final Fantasy VII Remake PlayStation 4 top cover. It is extremely shiny, it is exclusive to the Japan region, and it is very hard to find. The reason it is so rare is because this was announced shortly after the pandemic started in 2020, right before Remake released. This ended up becoming an exclusive item to Japan and was not released in any other region. For me, this is the most sleek and stylistic representation of Final Fantasy VII and the collaboration with PlayStation. In addition to the fun of the hunt for all these collectibles in my Final Fantasy VII collection, I truly cherish all the memories and lessons that this game has taught me over the course of the past 5 years. I'd really like to hear your thoughts on my collection as a whole and share if you have any of the same items within yours. I'm really anticipating the next part and the final part in the Final Fantasy VII Remake trilogy, but until then, take the time to appreciate everything that this franchise has brought and taught all of us.